What's up, YouTube? I wanted to make this video to talk about what to do if you've messed up your diet. If you go off, if you go out to eat, you binge, whatever the case may be. And the reason why I kind of wanted to talk about this today was I actually had this happen the other day where a client came to me and she texted me and she said, Brad, I know why I've been stalled. I know why I messed up. And I said, oh, okay, what happened? Well, you know how when you told me to, eat this amount of this, well, I completely miscalculated. Instead, I was eating, 4 or 5 times that amount, right? And so it wasn't being, she didn't know how much she was eating, and she ended up eating a little over 500 calories more than she was supposed to eat, right? And so she had been stalled out for several weeks now. And I said, that's great, because now we know, right? Now we know what to do, and we've kind of fixed the hole in the bucket or the leaky faucet, and we can start making progress again. That's great. And I was uh, I was surprised because she was just so upset and almost kind of wanted to just very frustrated with herself that like, oh, I wasted so much time and so much time and so much effort, and I feel so stupid that I did this. And I was just like, whoa, like it's not a big deal because you're learning throughout this process, right? Like we're not going to be, no matter what you do, you're not going to be perfect from the start on anything, right? And so that's why we have this process. And on the other hand, you have to keep remembering that there is no deadline, right? It's not like you're competing for, bikini competition or, some sort of event where there is the strict deadline, right? And so because of that, you have plenty of time. Like it doesn't matter if you get there a little bit slower as long as you get there, because the easiest way or the only way to fail is if you just quit, right? Because if you mess up and you go out to eat, or you have an event, or you have a kind of a birthday that you're going to, or a wedding, and you mess up, well, if you say, hey, I'm just going to get back on it the next day, then you're fine. You've gotten back on it and you can continue to make progress. I think a big problem that I see is that we kind of we use messing up as validation not to get back on track, right? Remember that. It's a lot of us. You use that messing up like, oh, I messed up. I might as well just keep messing up the rest of the weekend because I already messed up. And really, that's the wrong way to think, because if you continue to mess up and if you continue to not get back on track, that is the biggest way to fail, right? The biggest way to fail is to mess up and then not get back on track. It's really the only way to mess up, right? Because we're all going to mess up here and there every month. You're not going to be perfect. Life is going to happen. You're going to have events. You're going to have a dinner out with your family. But the only way to truly mess up is to not get back on track. And by using that messing up excuse as validation to never get back on track, that's what keeps us stuck, right? And going back to kind of the analogy of like a leaking faucet or a hole in the bucket, I kind of think of fitness and even business in that same respect. Like if you had if you had a leaky faucet for a week and you couldn't figure it out, and finally you called a plumber and he came and fixed it, and then he fixed it and it was fixed and you left, you wouldn't be so upset or so frustrated and say, well, I can't believe I wasted so much water and time on this leaky faucet, and it took a week or it took 2 weeks for me to finally figure it out and get someone to help me and get it done, right? You wouldn't say that. You would just say, okay, it's fixed now, and now I can have a normal bathroom, right? You wouldn't say, oh, well, the faucet's leaking. I might as well screw everything else up, and I might as well like crush the crush the shower head and everything else, right? You wouldn't continue to make it worse. You would just see the problem, do what you can to fix it. Once it's fixed, you move on. Right? There's no need to be upset at yourself. And we're often the hardest on ourselves, right? If you had a friend that was in your same position and your friend said, "Oh, well, I I messed up and there was a game on and I eat too many chicken wings, or I went out with some friends and instead of having one drink I had three." What would you say to that friend if they were super frustrated and they said, "Screw it, I'm just gonna be off my diet now." Well, you would want them to calm down. You would say like that's not a logical thing to think because it's only one night, right? You can get back on it tomorrow. And so we have to have that same type of thing for ourselves too, because if you're consistently on track and you only mess up 1 or 3 days out of the month, let's say there's 30 days in a month and we've gone out 3 of those days or even four, well, that's 4 days that you've messed up, and that's 26 days that you're on. And so if we take 26 steps forward and 4 steps back consistently month after month, how likely is it that we're going to continue making progress and we're going to eventually get to that goal that we want? It's very likely you're going to get there, right? Now, how likely is it that we can be perfect for 5 weeks in a row and then all of a sudden we have one bad night where we go out and then we're really hard on ourselves and then we say, well, I messed up one night, I'm just going to be off my diet for a while, and then you're off of it for a month and then you think, well, I don't feel good now, I feel like I've gained weight, I feel bloated, time to get back on the diet. Then we get back on the diet, we try to be 100% absolutely perfect. We might be for 3 or 4 weeks if we're lucky, and then the same thing happens, and that's how you gain the weight, you lose the weight, you go back and forth because there is no consistency, right? And if you're struggling with that, I think that's one of the ways or one of the reasons why, yeah, having a coach can be so valuable, right? Because, someone like me or, another coach out there can, consistently check on you, answer questions, and make sure that a bad day doesn't turn into a bad week and a bad month, right? And that can be super helpful and super valuable. So I hope this was helpful, and just wanted to hit home that really the biggest way for you to actually mess up is to just not get back on track. And yes, there are methods and there are things that we can do to still, accelerate our progress either after a big night out or, even before if we're planning like a trip or something like that. And that's something I kind of like work with my individual clients on what to do. But for the most part, the biggest thing for you guys is just to know that you didn't mess up. It's a small setback and we can get back on it the next day. So hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or if you have anything else you'd like me to talk about, just text below in the chat, or you can message me on Facebook or in one of my Facebook groups. I'll see you guys on the next one.